Hi, true avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 68, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I'm a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. Joining me this week is Ekamy. Ekamy is a pansexual woman and Twitch streamer who covers games, cooking, and book club. Ekamy's pronouns are she, her. How is 2026 treating you, Ekamy?
Pretty good. I just came back from a hot yoga class, and it was lovely.
You said, now we were talking before we recorded, you said you had to walk there in the freezing cold there and back though, right? Like, so you're probably all sweaty after. And
yeah,
then
I did have a shower,
cold.
but yes.
Okay. Still wet skin though. If I go out with my hands, like within like 3-4 minutes, like I'm already starting to get like, not actual frostbite, but like the beginning like stages of it where you start feeling a really cold in the sections where your hand is wet. Anyway.
Yeah.
We live in Toronto, or like, we live in Canada.
The area.
Ekamy does not live in Toronto, but I live in Toronto. And it's freezing here today. It's miserable.
Yeah, it's pretty
But at
bad.
least it's sunny.
Yes. I've been, this whole winter I've been taking, like vitamin D, little supplements just to help with the lack of sun. But I think now it's been a lot more sunny in like the last week. So I've been trying to get out, even though it's cold. I've been trying to get out just to like, I don't know, go for a walk or just like pick up something at the convenience store, small things.
Yeah. Sometimes, I'm not knocking my dog, I love her, but sometimes it's a little irritating having to walk my dog 4 times a day. However,
4 times a day? Wow. I mean,
well, okay. 2 of those are not real proper, like, I'm gonna say W's in case she hears me right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
We go for 2 W's. There's one, that I took her just before recording. Yep. And there's one that I like around lunchtime. And there's one I take her right before bed. And those are just like, we go to the little spot beside our building. She goes potty and then I bring her back in. But then in the morning when I wake up and around her dinner time, like just after her dinner time, we go for a longer one. Yeah. And that's like, and those are sustain, especially in the summer, those sustain me. Like, I don't, like before if I was ever living home alone, even if like before when my partner wasn't home or whatever, my then partner, if I was just like inside working from home, just like inside, like if I didn't have a reason to go outside, I did not go outside. Yeah. So I realized too, like with the exercise as well, it's just nice having like a routine to go outside, get me moving, see sunlight, get some fresh air. I didn't realize how beneficial that was until I made it a routine. Yeah. So.
My dad often felt the same way when he walked their dog, and actually it was good for them because when they moved to a new city, maybe about 5-6 years ago now, my dad would walk the dog most evenings, and that's how he met all the neighbors. So it's nice as a bit of exercise, but also a social thing. I have a cat, so I wouldn't know how that feels, but
that's fair. I mean, before that, I just had Mango. And Mango, like, our version of a walk was I picked her up, I carried her to the couch. That was my part of the walk. And then her part of the walk was crawling up and down and it still is, crawling up and down my arms.
Mango's
and trying to get tangled in my hair.
No. She really likes your hair? Like the feeling of it, maybe?
I don't think it's that. I think she just doesn't understand that she can't go in it without getting strangled.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
She craves the danger.
She craves the danger. Yes, actually. I could talk all day about Mango if I'm being honest, and Olive too, but anyway, for anyone who doesn't know, Mango is my leopard gecko. Olive is my dog. I think I've at least shown pictures of Olive. I've shown Olive on the podcast before, but maybe at some point I'll bring Mango on, especially when that new Gecko Gods game comes out. Maybe if I cover that in the podcast, Mango can be a special guest star.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to ask you actually, before we kind of jump into everything, over the break, I was browsing the PlayStation Store on my PS5. And I sent some pictures to the Discord here that I'm going to kind of look through, but I saw that on PlayStation they had an LGBT plus section for games. And not only did it just like be as an advertising section for like queer games, but the acronym they actually wrote was LGBTQIA+. The only part of the acronym they left out, unfortunately, is 2S. However, having the QIA+ feels rare in this day and age. So. Yeah.
I also noticed it over the break too. And to be fair, like well, not fair. To be honest, I thought that it had been there for a long time, but I also don't really use the PS5 as much as my partner. So I remember being like, "Oh, that's cool. Like that's neat." I didn't look too much into it at the time, but it's nice that they have that. Yeah.
I feel like it's probably targeted to some extent because of the games I've bought. Like, there's a lot of games on this list that I've either looked at or I've bought or I've played. That said, though, so I had a couple notes about this. First off, when I went and looked through it, I screenshotted everything, so I just had a record of it, so I could, like, talk about it on the podcast, and also just, like, these were the games that were included for a historical reason. Like, eventually this list will not be here, or it will change, or what have you, but I think the fact that it's there is all is nice. But when I went to go check my screenshots and I left the store after, I went back to the store, and that tab was gone. It was no longer there. And if anyone does go looking for it, you think you might have it on your PlayStation Store, when you go into the store on the menu, it should be, and you like click down into the store, it should be one of the top things. I will try my best to include a screenshot of what it looks like here. But I just wanted to kind of cover some of the games that are on here, just super quick. Lots of ones that like you obviously expect here, like Lost Records, The Last of Us, Fear the Spotlight, Caravan Sandwich, Sorry We're Closed, like Life is Strange, stuff like that. The Coffee Talk games are here. Goodbye Volcano High, I didn't realize was queer. Sticky Business. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here too that I didn't realize was queer. I mean, they include Horizon here, not Horizon. Horizon Forbidden West. There's a game here called No Longer Home, which looks kind of interesting. I didn't realize We Are OFK was queer as well. So that's on here. Mm-hmm. Citizen Sleeper, I didn't realize. There's these Anodyne games. Prey. Princess Farmer, Ollie World, which I thought had been delisted. And there's some games I didn't even realize were on PS5, like Romancevania. I didn't realize it was on here. And also, the other game that I didn't realize was on here was the Arcade Spirit series. Yes. They're on PlayStation as well. I did not know that. Yeah. So I think that was really interesting.
I know I saw Dreamfall chapters in the list too, which is great. Because I know there's a queer character, at least one, probably two actually, in Dreamfall chapters. So.
And that's a sequel to the first one, right?
That is
Or is that the third one?
That is the third game in the series, yeah.
What's the first one called?
It's just called The Longest Journey.
The Longest Journey, thank you.
It's maybe a little bit confusing because the second game is called Dreamfall: The Longest Journey.
Right,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Another game that's here that I didn't realize would even be remotely included is Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Didn't realize that there was a queer Digimon game on this list.
I know my partner's played that one. Maybe I could ask them about what character, or if it's a character thing or something. But
yeah, another game I didn't realize was on PS5 is Tacoma. We're going to talk about the predecessor to Tacoma shortly. Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, Pro Skater 1 and 2 are also on this list, which makes sense because like skateboarding has a lot of queer people involved. But I didn't realize there was a queer skateboarder in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster. Other games here like Greedfall. Dragon Quest 11S is on this list as well, which is really cool. I feel like Graham has probably talked about that in the past.
Probably.
Saints Row the Third, Hollow Knight. There's obvious stuff here like Sims 4, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. I didn't realize. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is on here.
Interesting.
Near Replicant, We Happy Few. Obviously, you've got Celeste, you've got Firewatch, Dishonored 2, Mass Effect Andromeda. You got other Dragon Age games on here. Gone Home, Valhalla with all the weird numbers in the title. Dream Daddy. Anyway, all that is to say is like, there's like, I could name every game on this list and we'd be here for like all day. I thought it was really cool that first off this list exists. Also how comprehensive it was. Considering they could have just been like, well, here's The Last of Us, here's Baldur's Gate, and here's Date Everything. And Life is Strange. Have fun. They could have,
They could have done so little. And they seem to have a pretty fulsome list, which is nice.
Yeah. So, I will try to include these pictures somewhere, at least if not all the pictures, I'll at least include the screenshot of the store listing, in the final episode. For the video version, viewers, if you're listening to the audio, you're going to have to make do, I guess, with the list I said here. But anyway, this week we have a normal formatted episode. We're back. This is the first proper episode of 2026. We're going to start off with what we've been playing, and of course we're going to jump into the news. So some queer games are being delisted. The new year has begun with several layoffs because of course it has, to the surprise of absolutely no one. That new Sims 4 expansion I mentioned last week has been confirmed, and the devs also give an update on the future of queer content in The Sims. And there's a lot more too, but the biggest one here is that the new Life is Strange game is going to get an official announcement soon. Finally, for the main segment this week, we're going to talk about queerness in games presented as a twist and plot twist. Also, it's mostly lesbians in these games, when it's included as a plot twist. We're going to get into exactly what all that means specifically, but basically, whenever there's queer characters in a lot of cases, it's not revealed in the marketing, and it's actually presented as a story twist. I'm going to be talking about 2 games in particular, but there are others as well, that I haven't played. But some of those games do include, like I said, Gone Home. That's the one that's the predecessor to Tacoma. Unpacking is the other one that I've played. Also as part 1 DLC kind of counts. This Bed We Made, I haven't played it, but I've heard a lot about it, and I know that there's another lesbian surprise in there. And Life is Strange 1 also has, to some extent. And I do recommend too, we're going to be talking about spoilers, obviously, for these games. So if you don't want to be spoiled for any of this games, not just the queerness as a plot twist, because I'm sure you guys all know that those games are queer, but also, we're going to be talking about story elements too, because it's kind of unavoidable at that point. And then also, Ekamy has brought, and we're going to do this very quick at the end of the show, but Ekamy has brought a, queer game of the week. First time in, I think, months that we're doing queer game of the week. Before we jump into all that, though, I have a few quick favors to ask of you true avatars, as I always do. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. Spotify has ratings and comments, while Apple has reviews. Engagement, like comments, ratings, and reviews, helps to grow the podcast, and a growing podcast means a happy podcast host who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her show, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more podcast episodes and more growth and more happiness. So please go leave a comment, rating, or review. And if you're watching on the video version on YouTube, please like this episode, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so that you're the first to know when a brand new video drops, which is every Monday, by the way. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast, on social media. Their accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at True Avatars, and you can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, no spaces. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so please check in every week. I am to bring you news, interviews, and updated discussions that are relevant to queer gamers, so you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQIA+ lens. We did not forget the 2S. Okay, Ekamy, what have you been playing?
A couple games lately. I have been really into playing an RPG called Beloved Rapture. It's an indie RPG. The style is very similar to Chrono Trigger. And I've been really enjoying that one. And then the other 2 games that I have on my docket are, I've been playing Laugh Track, which is from the developer of, Arcade Spirits, Penny Larceny, Shadow over Cyberspace, all those games. And that is a free game, by the way. You can go play it anytime you want, for free. And then the other one is I've been playing a lot of The Devil Episode 2, because that just released in December. So I've been really enjoying that. And I've been
What's that about?
Well, that's I might go into it more in the queer game of the week, but a general summary. General summary is
no. We'll talk about it later. I think that's fine. Yeah. We have people to listen to the end of the episode.
It's really good, though. You should play it.
And you should find out why at the end of the episode. So stay tuned through the entire episode to hear about this queer game of the week.
I know you're all waiting in anticipation. How about
As
you?
they should be.
What have you been playing?
Well, I admittedly, for reasons I won't get too into detail on the show, but I haven't had a lot of time to play video games over the holiday break and the new year. But I did play a little bit of Legends ZA over the break, Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm enjoying it. It's the kind of game where I'm not excited to play, but once I'm into it for a couple of hours, like I'm like, okay, I'm in the flow of this. I'm enjoying the gameplay. I do find the fact that it's just in a tiny city is very limiting, which is, a little disappointing, but otherwise the gameplay is very fun. I've also been playing, or I played the over 5 hour demo for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. I don't even remember why I started playing it. I think I just wanted to see which version ran better on which console, whether it was Switch 1 on Switch 2 or the Switch 2 version or the PS5 version streamed to my Steam Deck. Because I want to just know which physical copy to kind of like add to my wish list for when it goes on sale to pick up and play. But I fell in love with the demo. It is so good that when it ended, I was sad. This is a charming game. So basically, they've taken the original Dragon Quest VII. They streamlined the story a little bit because apparently it's a very long game. I've never played any Dragon Quest game except a little bit of Dragon Quest Monsters, The Dark Prince. But basically, it has like a top-down kind of tilt-shift art style. They look kind of like dolls a little bit. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it's not HD 2D like the other Dragon Quest remakes. But it's just very charming, very, very pretty to look at, and the story is really interesting. I almost don't want to spoil the setup for the story because I clued in within the first hour what the story was going to be, and then it got confirmed a few hours later, and I was going to be sad if it wasn't what I hoped it was. But it's a really cool story. And I guess you could skip forward a minute if you don't want to hear this, but I will just pitch it, is that these characters all live on an island, and this island is the only island on the entire planet. There's just water around them for like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of miles. They've never found another living civilization. But these kids that are venturing off have found these tablets, and when they put these tablets back in their place on these like stone, in this stone like ancient area, whatever you want to call it, they get transported to other islands on other versions of Earth that are also isolated from the world. And when they solve the problems on these islands get put back on there. That's like you're piecing the world back together. It's so cool. I'm really into this.
That's so cool.
And there's another little twist that I won't spoil that also happens in that first 5 hours, but there's like an extra twist that when the island gets brought back, something else happens. It's so cool. It's just, oh my God. It's exactly the kind of story that I love. It's like got everything in it that, you know, and it's got characters that you don't really like at first. Like, I didn't really like, when I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, I didn't really like the characters at first either. But by the end of the first 5 hours of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I also fell in love with the characters. And that's what happened with me here as well. Because Maribel, the only girl character, she's kind of annoying. But by the end of it, it's kind of endearing how annoying she is in a way. I can't explain it more than that, but
Fair enough.
I was really into it. And this is something for when Lloyd is back on, but I did start playing Celeste in anticipation of Lloyd potentially being on today's episode. Unfortunately, that did not work out, but, we miss you, Lloyd, and you and I will talk about Celeste soon, I'm sure. Yeah. All right, Ekamy, shall we jump into the news?
We shall.
Okay, so headlines. We've got a bunch this week. A couple of these things are like left over from December when I was not covering too much of the news, but a lot of it is new. And so first off, the new Life is Strange game that I talked about last week that had leaked, was officially announced as going to be getting there was an announcement for an announcement coming this coming Tuesday. So on January 20th, Tuesday at 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. General Mountain Time, and 7 p.m. Central, or I guess not Central, maybe 6 p.m. GMT. Actually, I'm not sure when GMT and CET are. GMT must be British, though, right? That seems right. But that's 8 hours. I don't even know. Those are the times they gave on the thing. So if you're in those time zones, that's when it is for you. 6 p.m. GMT and 7 p.m. CET. They're going to reveal in a live stream what this new Life is Strange game is. And if you want to know a little bit about the game before they reveal it, you can go back to episode 67 and actually hear what the game is about because it got leaked on the Peggy ratings board last week. So, Ekamy, I do have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Why have you never played a Life is Strange game?
Well,
and yes, you can shame her down in the comments, please. Please shame her.
I have
because it seems right up your alley.
It is. I have played about a little over half of episode 1. This was years ago, but so when I first played it, I had it on Steam, and it was one of those where I was like, "Oh, cool! I can try episode 1 for free. I'll try it out." And I had it on. I was playing it on a not graphically intense laptop by any stretch of the imagination. It was struggling to live when I was playing Life is Strange because it was so like graphically intense for the device I was playing on. And so it was a bit of a struggle to get through some of the episodes just because like I just couldn't. But I did get through most of that episode 1, and then I think just life got busy. I do want to play more. Like legitimately I do. I know they would be up my alley, so.
When you say halfway through episode 1, are you talking chapter 1 in the first game, or are you talking halfway through the first game?
Halfway through chapter... Oh my god, I don't remember now. I remember there were other characters... No, it must have been past chapter 1. I must have been like chapter 3 or something. Because I remember like... It was leading up to the big storm that was going to be at the end, I think, of the game.
Right, okay, so you definitely played way more than just the first chapter.
Yeah, it was so long ago, I couldn't quite remember, but yes.
Stopped just as it was getting good, but I guarantee you your laptop or your computer at the time would not have rendered that storm.
Yeah, and I mean, now I have, I know I have the whole, the entirety of the first game on PS5, and certainly if I wanted it on Steam, I have a good PC that could run that very, very well now. But, I keep meaning to.
That's your required reading in advance of this new game coming out, which was definitely not coming out March 27th. That's not the release date.
Yeah.
That definitely didn't leak last week.
Totally.
So, then you can get on with, cause there's Life is Strange 1, there's Before the Storm, there's 2, there's True Colors, there's Double Exposure, and then there's this new one, which definitely isn't called Reunion. It's definitely not called that.
Definitely not.
Speaking of things that were leaked last week that were confirmed this week, the new Sims 4 expansion was also officially revealed. So, I haven't played a Sims game in over 20 years, and I remember very, very little from playing The Sims. Like, basically nothing. So even just watching the trailer that I watched went way over my head. So I don't think these games are for me, but I do hope anyone who's hearing this or who loves those games, I hope this expansion is for you, because it looks very gay, to be clear. So, the summary here. Check out the Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy reveal trailer for this upcoming expansion pack. With the Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy expansion pack, build a powerful dynasty, become a noble, avoid scandal, and do it all for the plot. Experience storybook moments, reap the perks of prestige, and climb your way to glory. No two paths to power are the same. Your kingdom awaits, and it's brimming with opulence, culture, and complex relationships. The throne is empty, and only one Sim can wear the crown. Nobles might have rivals, dynasties might have outcasts, and anyone can find themselves at the heart of a saucy scandal. The stage is set, and the stories of ascension are yours to tell. So, the trailer had at least 2 sapphic women in it, and at least 1 gay man. And then there was a moment where the lesbian was outed, like the sapphic woman or the lesbian was like outed and shamed for it, by the way. It was very strange. I'm not sure if it was because she cheated on her husband, the king, or because she was gay. No idea. Probably a little bit of both, but the Sims were all like, and they were speaking in Simlish? I think that's the language they'll speak. I forgot they spoke a different language.
Yes.
But it was in the trailer and it threw me for a loop for a second, but. Anyway, this Royalty and Legacy expansion comes out February 12th on all platforms, and on January 22nd, which is Thursday. January 20th, by the way, is the Tuesday for Life is Strange, if I didn't say that. Thursday, January 22nd, they're going to reveal a nobility gameplay trailer. Whatever that means. It might be another mechanic. I'm not sure. But yeah, you can check that out on Thursday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be way into the original Sims when I was younger. It was probably one of the first games that I played on my own, and I borrowed the all the expansion packs from my neighbor on CD-ROM. So I played like Live and Large and Live and Large, Pets. Like there's a holiday one. Anyway, I really loved it. And I have some friends who really enjoy Sims 4. I haven't really gone back to The Sims in a long time, but it's nice to see that they are really building, some good stuff consistently for 4. And to be perfectly honest, this expansion sounds awesome. This would make me want to get back into The Sims. This sounds really fun.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, I might actually just look into that. I mean, and I know that Sims 4 came out a while ago, another expansion, but I mean, at the very least, it sounds genuinely pretty fun and very different from typical Sims. I mean, I say that as if I know typical Sims. I only know, I haven't played since, I don't know, 2006, maybe, way back. But no, this is really fun. I really like that. And I'm curious, as ever, whatever The Sims 5 will eventually look like, but for now, this does sound like a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of Sims 5, we can actually talk about that a little bit, because this next story does revolve around the future of The Sims. So, the devs are saying, in response to this Electronic Arts purchase from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, so for anyone who doesn't know, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund is basically a government-owned pool of money that they use to invest in various things inside and outside their country. They've bought, I think, 6 or 7% of Nintendo. They've dipped their toe into a bunch of things, but specifically they have purchased the entirety of Electronic Arts. I think it was for something I can't remember the exact number, but it was $70 billion or 50, 4 billion, some kind of number of large billions of dollars. Anyway, so the devs, people are worried that because Saudi Arabia is buying, a company that has a bunch of queer inclusive content, what's going to happen to the content that is queer inclusive? And the devs of The Sims are saying that, quote, their values are unchanged, quote, in the light of the buyout. So, their statement, was pretty long, actually, but I'm just going to read the part of it that related to inclusivity, where I thought it was really kind of hitting the nail on the head for queer content. So they wrote, inclusivity, The Sims is for everyone. We reflect the wide, colorful spectrum of identity and self-expression so every player feels seen and celebrated. We build features that let all players create the Sims they feel connected to and explore their identities without judgment. This work never ends. We continue learning, growing, and finding new ways to make every player feel seen. So, that's what they wrote. In a separate update, as per Video Games Chronicle, they wrote, in a separate update, Max has stated that its in development project, Renee, has evolved into a social, collaborative, mobile-first life sim game, but stressed that it is not the successor to The Sims 4 and is a separate experience from any future, deep, single-player life simulation experience. So it sounds like this Project Renee people thought was going to be called The Sims 5 might not actually be The Sims 5. Maybe they'll call it Sims 5, but it sounds like it's not going to be a sequel to The Sims in the sense that it's going to play like The Sims, but like look better with new features. Sounds like it'll be a little bit different. But if you've noticed here, they haven't actually said, don't worry, we're going to continue keeping queer content in here. They didn't actually say Project Renee would have this inclusivity specifically. And also, if I'm being honest, before I open up the floor to you, Ekamy, they could say whatever they want right now, because right now, this buyout hasn't gone through yet. There's going to be another year or so before it's official, and marching orders come down for what, the new owners want to change, if anything. And I imagine they probably will, but again, we don't know yet. For sure. So, who knows what these devs are going to be saying when those marching orders do come down, and if they're going to be singing the same tune, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's nice that they are, like they had that statement when they were saying that their values are going to continue and they're, they want to encourage people to explore identities and things like that. And I feel like The Sims in general has always just been generally very, like a pretty positive experience for, for creating queer characters and like allowing players to explore that a little bit more. Certainly like when I was playing The Sims 1 when I was younger, like I believe the original had gay relationships. And that was like my first exposure to that. Again, it has been a long time, so if I'm wrong about that, please feel free to let me know in the comments.
Lambaste her in the comments. Go after her specifically.
Lambaste me, exactly. But I feel like I would hope that Project Renee would continue with that because they've usually been pretty positive and supportive of that kind of content, and it would be unfortunate if it wasn't so much of a focus. I know it's also a pretty big thing to also start a new, technically a new IP. Like, yes, it's in the Life Sim experience, and yes, it's from The Sims 4 people, but sometimes a new IP can be a bit tricky, with if it'll be really popular when you've got, when you've already made, something solid gold, basically, that's been so popular. So, yeah, my hope is that they'll continue with that, instilling those values in the game. And maybe it'll be a new game, maybe it'll be Sims 5, but it sounds like they kind of want to do a new thing, so, yeah.
Well, whatever it is, I hope it's A, queer inclusive, and B, free of AI. And I think if it is free of AI, because most of the Sims games that are coming out, like life sim games, Sims-like games, like Inzoi, I think Inzoi uses a lot of AI as well. So, if they can make it, all human-made content, it might be popular insofar as it's just one of the last, things kind of using, because again, all its competitors are using AI, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have some other sad news, although it doesn't seem too sad in terms of what the devs are feeling, but the devs behind the Normal Lost Phone series are disbanding and delisting their games. So again, it sounds sad, but their statement is actually kind of positive, weirdly. I did miss this news. This is from early December, but Accidental Queens, the devs on Twitter, said, "Hi everyone. As you may have noticed, we've not been very active online for the past few years. We are officially in the process of closing our studio. We are fine. We just wanted to move on to other things. Our games will be removed from all platforms on January 30th. Read the article below to know what will happen if you already own the games or if you want to buy them." And this is me speaking now. I'm pretty sure if you already own them, you can download them as much as you like. That's how it works. If you don't own them, though, they say this. I think they say like you can still buy them until January 30th. Anyway, quoting from them as well, Diamonds has been officially canceled, which is their new project, which is no longer happening, as we repeatedly failed to secure funding necessary to develop the game as we envisioned it. We don't know yet what we'll do with the prototype. So, I picked these up a little while ago, thankfully, so I'm not too worried, but.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, that they, I guess I'm curious as to why they're taking down their games. Because I mean, I don't really know the process of like closing a studio, but it's a bummer. I do have a normal lost phone on itch. I think I got it as part of like a bundle supporting charity, but I have yet to play it, and I really want to. So yeah, I might make an effort to check out their other games to make sure that I have them purchased as well. But at the very least, like, I'm glad that it sounds like they're reassuring fans and people following them to be like, hey, we're fine, we're just moving on to other things. And I mean, hopefully this means that they'll have a new exciting direction at some point. But yeah,
I think these games also tie into the whole surprise the character is gay kind of thing.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I just didn't have a chance to play it before we recorded, but they are queer games, so they do have the LGBTQ plus tag on Steam. These are games I actually did pick up on Steam, but now I'm actually really curious. I'm going to check the App Store on my iPhone because I'm curious if these games are on mobile. I'd rather play them there. If they're still up, I'm not sure if they're still up on mobile. They were delisted somewhere else recently.
Oh, interesting.
Which is how I found out about this story.
Ah.
A normal lost phone. It is still available on the App Store. It's $4 Canadian. Then let's see if another lost phone is on here. Because they all take place on a phone, so I was thinking like, okay, best place to play this would be on a phone screen. Okay, both games are available and they're both $4 Canadian. And I'm sure they will be up until January 30th, which is nice that at least we're able to kind of get in front of this and say you guys have about 12 days from, well, I guess 11 days from the time of release of this podcast to pick these games up if these are games you've been thinking about. They were very cheap through December. They've now gone back up to regular price. On Steam, they are, where was I seeing that they were $8? Okay. Weird. They're not $8. Anyway, it looks like it's cheaper on Steam. It's $3.29 on Steam. They're not that expensive. So, I'm also seeing the release date for the original game was 26th of January, 2017. So, it's been 9 years. It'll be 9 years and 4 days from release to delisting.
Wow.
It's really sad they have to get delisted. I'm wondering what the reason for that is.
Yeah, I was curious about that because I feel like I've heard of a lot of studios closing, like they just don't exist anymore, but their games stay up. Maybe it's related to licensing. I don't know. Yeah,
maybe I'm not sure. Maybe they were waiting for the license for whoever was publishing the game. Let me see here who the publisher is. Yeah, so the publishers are PID Games and Dear Villagers. Maybe that's what they were waiting for, was this deal to expire, and now they're just shutting down. If enough people make enough noise, though, maybe they'll bring the games back for purchase through a different publisher or self-publish. I don't know. It would be sad for these games to be unavailable for new players as we move into the future decades, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm also not sure if they have DRM or not. Again, I won't get into why. We hope that they're DRM free. I'm not encouraging illegal activity, but if the games are going to be unavailable for purchase, I know a lot of people draw the line in the sand for ethics in terms of, well, if I can't buy this, I'm going to find other ways to play it. So, and I would like to be able to, I would like to tell people to support these game devs. They're not expensive games. Go give them the $3, support them. But I guess that's just the way that all works out. So, all right. More bad news here. Fortunately, it's mostly bad news until the last story of the day, but we've got layoffs. Again, we don't have to talk about this too much, but I'm just going to give everyone the details. Ekamy, I'll let you weigh in how you want to weigh in. But Meta, the owners of Facebook, have closed a bunch of VR studios. 10% of Meta's VR dev staff have been affected, which is apparently about 10,000 people. Among these are game dev companies Armature, Senzaru, and Twisted Pixel. And Twisted Pixel, for anyone who doesn't know, just shipped Deadpool VR. They also laid off a lot of people from the studio Camouflage, the team behind Batman Arkham Shadow. From Aftermath, the website where I got this information, speaking under the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly, former Meta employees said that Camouflage is now made up of just a handful of employees who are working on the new user experience for upcoming hardware. Studio heads, they told Aftermath, have been let go and active game projects under development have been shut down. Additionally, they say a sequel to Batman Arkham Shadow was in development at Sanzaru rather than Camouflage, but as of yesterday, Sanzaru no longer exists. So it's assumed that these projects have been cancelled as well, which is sad all over across the board. Ekamy, any thoughts on this before we move on to the other layoffs?
Not especially. It's really sad to hear. I don't know too much about, how popular Meta VR games and have been in terms of purchasing, but it's just right. Yeah, but I did hear about the Deadpool VR game. But yeah, it's just a shame. All around.
Let's see if these games are even on Steam. Okay, Arkham Shadow does not come up. Let me try Deadpool. Okay, yeah, these are exclusive to Meta, so maybe that's part of the problem. I'm not sure. Also, more layoffs and restructuring and all kinds of BS is Ubisoft, Massive Entertainment, the studio behind The Division, and the recent Avatar game, not The Last Airbender, but James Cameron's Avatar, was told that 55 roles would be affected by quote-unquote restructuring, and it supposedly has nothing to do with the performance of recent games. And I think they just shipped a huge DLC for Avatar and wrapped up the game and released a complete edition. So, I guess if it has nothing to do with the performance of games, it's really sad that people are still getting laid off because of restructuring. And Ubisoft also did close a recently unionized studio in Halifax, Canada, and laid off 71 people in the process. So they were working on Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed mobile games.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's, kind of par for the course for, I feel like for
the games industry right now.
And also, yeah. and in the games industry, but it's, yeah. Yeah. It's good to report on, I think, still, just the fact that, I feel like I feel like I only really mainly hear about this kind of news on this podcast, and it's good for people to know. Otherwise, it kind of just slips under people's radar, and that's how they get by doing it, I feel like. So, yeah, I do hope that everyone who was laid off is able to secure some new work for them and something that, in a job that makes them feel more fulfilled and respected and all that,
Yeah, I hope that too. I also have this sinking feeling that we haven't seen the end of the layoffs for this year. Not that we were going to, but you'd hope at a certain point it would kind of peter off a little bit. Just because they've laid off so many people, that bubble from COVID, from the pandemic, with all the hiring they did and all the projects that were started up, and now that people are back to work and they're not playing video games as much, they're not buying video games as much, that bubble burst, right? And so that's part of the reason why layoffs are happening. The other part is companies are tightening their belts, cost of living is going up, companies are just trying to make it look like their profits are even higher. The 1% is hoarding even more wealth. There are a whole bunch of reasons. And I don't think, because of all these reasons, I don't think we've seen the end of it. And also, I think I reported on this in one of the previous episodes, but I want to say I talked about it, but November was the worst November for video game console sales in 30 years since they started reporting on console sales in 1995. So even though the Switch 2 did really well last year, I'm very curious to see if, the Switch 2 was discounted at the holidays, and it turned out it was because stuff wasn't selling. So I'm wondering if we're about to enter a time where people just aren't buying video games. Before, video games were, safe because, to some extent, because when the recession happened in 2008, people were still buying video games because they were still a better investment for your time. You didn't have to go out. And yes, video games are expensive, but you can play them for hours and hours and hours, whereas the same price for a night out of the movies, let's say $80, for argument's sake, $80 game versus $80 trip out to the movies or dinner, the video game you have the copy of it forever, it takes longer to finish it. So it's just a better, I know a lot of people hate this argument, but from dollars spent to hours played, it's a better investment of your dollar to buy a video game than it is to go out and see a movie or go to dinner or go find other entertainment, like, for example, like an escape room. So, anyway, all that is to say is I don't think we've seen the end of this wave of layoffs. And I think Nintendo, who seems to have been pretty safe from layoffs for the last little while, we might start, I hope we don't start seeing it, but I'm very curious if their external non-Japanese studios might see layoffs as well, if Nintendo is also not doing well. So, because Nintendo's stock also apparently, I've got to find the source for this actually, I'll make a note of that, but Nintendo, their stock dipped 33% in the last couple of months, since I think August.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, 33% here. Oh yeah, Video Games Chronicle also had this story. So the share price reached a high point of 14,795 yen, which is 93.23 US dollars, and is now currently 9,950 yen, which is $62.70 US dollars. So, the last time Nintendo had a stock dip like this was, I think, the Wii U era.
Oh, wow. Huh. Very interesting. I guess we'll see.
Actually, apparently, even during the height of the Wii's popularity, reading from the article here, the company's share price was never greater than 7,000 yen. So, granted, they're still doing well. That's not, but if you're an investor, it's not great. Also, the fact that they have a new console and stock is dipping and they've just released like a whole slate of new games. Yeah. Like, why is their stock going down? I have a feeling people just aren't spending money on hardware anymore. Whether or not Nintendo is the cheapest on the market or not, I think things are just getting too expensive for people to even spend on entertainment now.
Yeah, yeah. I know maybe 2 people, to be honest, well, 3 people, I guess, who own a Switch 2. Most people who I've talked to are like, well, I'll stick with my first Switch because I don't have money to buy it. So, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's also kind of, that's normal for an early console, but I think it's the fact that the Christmas was that week. And also, again, all this is to say is that, like, I'm worried that this trend of people spending even less on consoles and video games, even now, like, I thought it would stabilize by this point, but I think it's going to keep getting worse, unfortunately. But we'll track that on the podcast and we'll talk about it if and when it happens. Hopefully it does not come to pass. Hopefully things stabilize and there are no more layoffs. But crap, I don't know. So, but we were talking about a unionized studio that was forced to close from Ubisoft. Rockstar also fired some union workers, or people who are trying to unionize at Rockstar in Canada and the UK. They're currently in court dealing with that issue right now, and the fired workers were denied interim payroll during trial. So the workers fired for attempting to unionize were asking a judge to allow them to continue to be paid while they wait for a legal decision, and that request has been denied. It's sad. I'm not surprised. It's really hard to make an argument for why people should be paid while they've been laid off. Of course, the police get paid when they're under, scrutiny and, they get their paid vacation while they look into why a cop committed murder. But anyway, it's just me. Why don't the video game, people? Anyway, if they can prove they were fired for unionizing, though, Rockstar is probably going to be in a lot more trouble than just some salaries not paid over that time. So let's hope some people get their comeuppance, Yes. I would like to see some justice in the year 2026. That would be great. Really nice.
That's the New Year's resolution we want. Yeah.
Any thoughts on this Rockstar situation before we move on to our last news story?
Nothing additional. I think I've said what I've said applies to this too. So
that's fair. All right, so last headline here. It is good news, is Sonic's 35th anniversary is being celebrated. They released a cool trailer with lots of moments from the franchise's history. There's stuff even I recognize from the movies and games. But they showed stuff from I feel like from across the entire franchise. Like they didn't hold back. And from the Video Games Chronicle article, apparently there's going to be merchandise, museum pop-ups and art exhibits throughout the year, live concert celebrations, and a brand new narrative podcast. There was no new game announced, and there was nothing teased in terms of a new game coming. But Sonic is an annual franchise, so I'd be shocked if they didn't have something planned for this year. Probably for the fall. But again, I don't know what's going on with GTA 6. So if GTA 6 is coming out, I wonder when certain things are going to come out to avoid GTA 6.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty exciting. That's really cool. I didn't realize that it was 35 years already. My goodness.
Yeah, and Dragon Quest is doing 40, Pokemon is 30, Zelda's 40, Metroid is 40, Kid Icarus is 40. There are a lot of, Pikmin is 25, Animal Crossing is 20, I want to say Animal Crossing is 25 as well.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
So, maybe I'm wrong about Animal Crossing, because I feel like Animal Crossing came out earlier.
Well, I think the
Japan?
first... Oh, yeah.
Because the N64 one came out sooner than the GameCube one, right? But maybe it was the same year. Gonna look this up.
Yeah,
Animal
so it's
Forest
gotta be the 90s,
N64.
early 2000s at most. Yeah.
Oh no, it still came out in 2001.
Oh, okay,
Apparently,
yeah.
Animal Forest on the N64. So it literally got ported to the GameCube literally months later.
Oh, wow, interesting.
That year.
Huh.
Anyway, there's a lot of anniversaries this year, and very few of them I think are going to get proper celebrations. But there is new Animal Crossing, an update that came out this week. I hear it's really good. So,
Yes.
are you playing?
Oh, Animal Crossing?
Oh, I guess you're not playing the update because you don't have a Switch 2. Although some of the content is on Switch 1.
Oh, I thought it was fully on Switch, like across board, both consoles.
I think it is. It's just not the new. I think the performance stuff is not on Switch 1, obviously.
That's fair. Yeah, I haven't played it in a while. But I know some friends who are really excited about it. So, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of it posted about on my Blue Sky feed and all that. So, yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah. And as for Sonic, do you think you're going to be playing any Sonic games this year to celebrate the 35th?
I think that'd be fun. I haven't really played too many. But I think I'd like to play maybe Sonic Mania this year. I think that'd be fun. Cause that's that's probably the most I've played of a Sonic game. Although I know that, like, I've seen some Let's Plays of newer 3D Sonic as well. So, but I feel like Mania would be a fun little, like, tribute to that for the 35th. Maybe do that on a stream or something at some point.
Yeah. I picked up a copy of Sonic Frontiers right before my bottom surgery, and because of my bottom surgery, I just forgot that I had it. I would really like to play that, actually, this year. Nice. I think that's the game. I was itching to play it right before my surgery, but A, my surgery, B, the Pokemon game released, like, in the same window.
Right.
Scarlet and Violet. So the only game I was playing in my recovery was that I had very little time to play games during my recovery. But when I was playing games, it was Pokemon Scarlet at the time. So, and Pokemon games are 100-hour plus for me, even if they only take like 25 hours to beat. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, some Sonic games this year. And of course, maybe around when they start celebrating it, or do announcements at least for it, I'll have Amy Lynn on, of course, to talk about all the reveals. Yeah. All right. Let's take a short break, Amy, and when we get back, we will talk about the Lesbian Plot Twist.
Sounds good.
Hi, True Avatars, and welcome back from the break. So, earlier I mentioned we're going to be talking about, I was originally calling it queerness as a twist. So basically the concept here is when marketing hides queer characters from the story. The story requires queer identities to be revealed in such a way that it surprises the players and sometimes alters the narrative or the meaning of the narrative. So, some of the games that we're going to be talking about, and Ekamy, you can also jump in with your games after my list, but some of the games I'd like to talk about are Gone Home, Unpacking, just tangentially This Bed We Made, The Last of Us Part 1, particularly the Left Behind DLC, which is really where the twist comes in. And Life is Strange, kind of Life is Strange. I feel like they leaned into the queerness in the marketing a little bit, but I think it was still a bit of a surprise in that game as well. So those are the games I'd like to talk about. And again, prefacing this, that any games that I mention and Ekamy mentions obviously will be spoiler heavy. So this is your chance to tap out when you hear the list of games from Ekamy as well, to come back to this after you've played them.
Yep.
Your list of games? I'm
sorry. I apologize. I was only really going to add one, and it is the Lock and Key, A Magical Girl Mystery. But I will say that the marketing is queer in terms of like when the studio's promoting it, but the reveal that I'm going to talk about was not specifically promoted. So, yeah, we'll just talk about that a little bit, and then I'll weigh into the other games.
Okay. Again, I haven't played normal Lost Phone and Another Lost Phone, but I do think those games also have a similar element to it. Right. I can't speak to if it's lesbians, but in almost every instance that I'm bringing up, it is always lesbians. Always lesbians. It's always sapphic. And so I did replay, another game I did play this week was Gone Home. I replayed Gone Home because the last time I checked, it was actually literally January 2019 was the last time I played Gone Home.
Oh, wow.
And I did remember most of the twist, but the actual progression of everything in the game was actually still a surprise for me because I didn't remember everything. I just remembered, surprise, it's lesbians. So do you want to start with Gone Home then? Is that a good place to kind of start?
Yeah, that's the one from your list. That's one of the 2 games I've played fully. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to start, or do you want to kind of talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, so Gone Home is a point-and-click walking sim and it's only a couple hours. It's a very short game. I really recommend playing it. If you're interested in this game and you're already like, okay, I've got queerness is in it, but I don't want to hear anything more, like, seriously, do not listen to this conversation. Once you hear what the twist is and like what the story is, there's not to say there's no point in playing. It's still a very well done game, but part of the excitement for this game is the twist, is the like progression of the narrative. So, last chance. Okay. So in Gone Home, you are, I think your name is Caitlin. You are coming home from a year abroad, and your parents have moved. Your parents and your sister have moved from one house to another house, and they're just sort of unpacking their new house. Unpacking also seems to be kind of a theme among the games I'm going to be talking about. But you get home and the door is locked. Nobody's home. You get inside. There's nobody there. And you start finding notes, from your sister that have been left around the house as you find keys to open doors and get through the house and find secret passageways. And you find out that your little sister, throughout her time in high school while you've been gone, met a girl, fell in love, and, found out that her parents really don't accept her. And she decides she's turned 18 now and she's going to run away with the love of her life. She's going to U-Haul it, of course. Yeah, that's basically how the game goes, is you're basically trying to figure out the story. And it's a very cute story. It's a very sweet story about how these 2 girls fall in love and how she feels and what she thinks of it. It's very sweet and endearing, and it's all fully voiced too. So you hear the sister telling these stories through these journal entries. It's, if you like Life is Strange, you will love Gone Home. And if you haven't, and if you're listening to this, you've probably already played it. You probably love this game as well. But again, the twist doesn't come towards the end. The twist of the game is that the sister's not there because she ran away, not because she's a lesbian. Mm-hmm. But again, it does have to do with the fact that you don't know, it's not advertised anywhere on the Steam page or anywhere that the sister is gay, and that's what the story is really about. You find out maybe an hour into the game that, okay, she's attracted to girls and there's something wrong. That's where the story is kind of gone off the rails in terms of her progression of narrative events, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it very well, but the fact that she is a lesbian is part of that's the hook, is, okay, the sister's gay, something happened there, let's find out what happened because the sister is gay. Yeah, and it does it in a really like a really good way. When you're finding these notes and you're finding like audio recordings and things like throughout the game, because I remember when I played this and when we have that first reveal of like, oh, she likes girls, and like that's part of who she is and everything, and then we start getting more to the parents, and I remember being like, oh god, like I just had this like awful sinking feeling that like something happened to her, maybe they kicked her out, or like maybe she, like, is she alive? Like I was just so genuinely worried playing this, and it approaches this topic in a very, I want to say something like somber but calming way, because there's nothing that is like creepy
there's
too.
Yeah, and kind of creepy. It's a little bit of a horror element, right? But I feel like it does it in a way so that, because you take the game at your own pace and you go into these rooms and you unlock certain rooms when you get keys to certain things, and like if it's ever too much for someone, if the player is like, their imagination's going wild about like what could be happening, and it can cause some anxiety. Like, I mean, I got anxious playing it, and I was like, I'm gonna take a small break, and like hopefully it's, and then like you can step away from it, and it's very good about it in terms of just like letting the player slowly learn about this, and in the end is a very sweet like reveal, and it's something uplifting, which I was so genuinely happy about, because I was expecting fully the worst. I was like, oh my gosh, like what could have happened? It's and I streamed that game start to finish over, I want to say, I spent a little longer. I think I spent like 6 hours, but I was locked in because we had some friends in chat who were like, it was like their favorite game, and they were like, oh my god, you're like, yeah, and they, anyway, and I'm like sobbing by the end. I'm like, oh my god, it's so nice. But yeah, that was a really cool reveal, I think, in terms of like, or a really cool hook, because again, yeah, there wasn't in the marketing. You're just learning about what happened to your sister. You learn about what happened, like learn about yourself, learn about your family, like what's happened there, and then it has that hook, and you're like, oh, did something happen to her that could be awful? Did she just run away of her own, desire? And it's with these devs, I find that with both Gone Home and Tacoma, for example, they do such a good job with not like, or they often will not market that necessarily as like, this is going to be in the game, like this is the hook. But usually when it's in it, they have these very real and strong experiences that happen with queer characters and relationships, and almost always, I think in Tacoma too, it ends on a positive note, which is wonderful. Like it's refreshing to see that, because there's so much like, hey, in a story, hey, here's a queer character, or here's two queer characters, they're in love, one of them dies, or like something terrible happens to them, right? Like, because it's a tragedy, and then you feel for them. Not to say that shouldn't be in stories, but there's just a lot of it that I've kind of played.
Yeah, but even Gone Home, even though Gone Home ends on a positive note, though, the hook is still that something bad might have happened.
Yeah,
something traumatic has happened here, and something traumatic does happen, but then it works out. But it's still the reason that you're going through this house to find out what happened, even after you learn that she's gay, is you're like, oh god, okay, is she okay though?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not just like you're not just along for the ride to find out this positive story. You're like, there's like, ups and of course, any good love story has ups and downs, and you want that.
Oh,
but
yes,
also,
yes.
Queer trauma is so commonplace in queer stories that like even Gone Home is not free from it, and Gone Home is a positive story.
Yes. I just like how the devs do that. I don't know. Tacoma and Gone Home end on similar notes, but the journey that you go through is just, it's very realistic, and it makes you think like, what specifically happened to them, because again, Tacoma too is another story of something happened to these people on a space station. They're gone. We don't know what happened. Did they die? Did they get rocketed off into some other, did they get rocketed back to Earth? Like, are they okay? And there's two astronauts who are queer characters, or who are in a relationship, I should say, and they're queer. And it ends on a positive note. I won't go too much into that one, but yeah, I just like how the devs do it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's and they've got another game coming out too that's in a similar vein to those. It's called oh my god, what is it called?
I don't know. I hadn't heard about this. Ooh.
Oh my. Okay, let me just quickly check here. I literally looked this up last night and I don't remember anymore. It had a nice title though. Just checking here. The devs are called Fulbright, by the way. Oh, Springs, Eternal. So like, not Springs Eternal, but Springs Eternal. Anyway, yeah, it was announced actually, I think, December actually, just like a month ago. And so there's no release date on it. Not even, it just says 2026 actually, coming in 2026. So that's nice. That we'll probably be playing. And it's got a little bit more of a creepy vibe, and a little bit more of like exploring multiple stories than like an overarching one, but I'm sure there's also an overarching one, but I do recommend going to check out, the Steam page. Yeah, Springs Eternal is the name.
All right, I'm going to wish
now,
that.
Now, speaking of, again, games set in houses, games with unpacking. The game Unpacking, actually, I've got it sitting up here. I bought the physical copy when it went on sale last year from Video Games Plus. It's a limited run, I think. Limited run? Yeah, it's limited run that published the physical Switch copy.
Nice.
So this is an isometric top-down sorting game, basically. Mm-hmm. It's developed by Witchbeam, and in it, basically, you're unpacking boxes through different periods in this girl's life. right? So you start off like as a little kid unpacking stuffed animals, and then, you know, you're unpacking your first dorm room, and then you're unpacking your first apartment, and then you're unpacking your first apartment with your first boyfriend, right? And you're, you know, trying to find space for your stuff among his stuff. Again, I'm going to spoil it, but as the game goes on, you're unpacking her stuff and another woman's set of panties and bras and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, she's living in the same room. Like, it's clearly not a roommate because the roommate would be in a different bedroom. But here you are unpacking 2 sets of everything. And you start to clue in like, oh, okay, she's with a woman now. And then I think, again, there's another setting where you're still with her. And then the game ends on a note with them sitting like silhouetted. You can't see what they look like, but they're sitting at a table in their backyard watching the sunset. And I think they're supposed to be older at that point too. You know, they've been happy and married for many years. But again, the twist is that like through this, you're learning who this person is through the items you're unpacking in this person's life. And then you find out that she is a lesbian. And that is, again, that's the twist at the end. It's like, that's the big reveal, is that, okay, she's went through all this tumultuous time in her life, and now she's found this place in her life where she's found happiness. She's found a permanent home, you know? Yeah. So Unpacking. You haven't played this one, have you, Ekamy?
No, I really want to, because I know that it would be similar to another game, in terms of gameplay, to another game that I enjoy, which is called A Little to the Left.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it sounds really nice, and I did know about the twist or reveal, and that just sounds really sweet. It sounds like it's a nice progression of this woman's just like story of finding herself, and it's I like that it's told from like, I mean, non-verbally, like it's kind of just told atmospherically. You're like, oh, like, this is what this must mean because we have these items in front of me, and that's what we're unpacking. So, yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was queer either when I started playing it. I just was like, oh, this looks like a cute game. It was at the time when I played it, it was on Game Pass, and I had Game Pass. And I played through a bunch of stuff. I played through a bunch of games that ended up being queer, too, that I didn't realize. I don't think at the time I knew Undertale was a queer game. I played through that on Game Pass, and I played through Unpacking. It's about a 3-4 hour experience, I want to say. It's not super long.
Okay.
I do wish they could ever make a sequel to it, but I don't know that it would hit the same. But I did really enjoy that experience. To the point where I would want to play it again at some point in the future. You're also welcome, Ekamy, to borrow my copy if you would like. If you don't have access to a copy of the game. But, yeah, no, it's just a very sweet, charming story. Again, there's not really much queer trauma in there. I think the closest you get is that, like, she's not finding herself and then she does find happiness. It's just a very cozy game. But yeah, again, the plot twist though is like, it hinges around finding out that she's gay. That is the big story twist in the game. There isn't really too much else going on in the narrative to really say, again, you find out a little bit through jobs, you find out a little bit about, you know, through the stuff that she's kept through the years and what she hasn't kept, stuff like that. But then, yeah, you're unpacking 2 sets of bras and panties and you're like, oh shit, okay.
Right.
So. Yeah, I'm gonna stop censoring SHIT and see how that goes too. As long as it's apparently not in the first 10 minutes or something on YouTube. I don't know. I've been listening to other podcasts where they swear a lot, and so I'm just
I do know about that. There's a Let's Play show that I watch on YouTube, and they always talk about like they'll mention like, oh, hopefully it won't get demonetized if it's in the first 10 minutes, right? But inevitably something happens, and they're like, whatever, it's fine. Let's just get on with it. We'll swear all we want, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm also of the opinion that, anyway, this is going to be a very hot take, but I think kids should be able to hear swearing and also swear. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if we make it less taboo, people will stop saying it so damn much.
Yep.
Bad joke. Okay. So another game I want to talk about, just very briefly, because I only heard about it through QGCon. I heard the talk that the devs gave. Not the whole talk, but just bits and pieces of it as I was traveling back from Montreal to Toronto. But the devs of This Bed We Made gave a talk. In This Bed We Made, I'm going to go to the Steam page so I can properly talk about this, because I don't want to get it wrong. Because again, when I haven't played a game and I try to pitch it, I always don't sell it correctly, but it's a third-person mystery game in which you play as a maid in the 1950s hotel and snoop around strangers' rooms to uncover their deadly secrets. Discover what links guests together in this tale of love, heartbreak, and murder. Believe it or not, the character is a lesbian, and that is part of the twist of the game. I don't remember the exact details, but I do know that at a certain point later in the game, it is revealed that she's in love with someone else, I think, who works at the hotel, maybe? So again, once again, the narrative hinges around finding out that this character is a lesbian. I don't know what it is about lesbians and plot twists, but game devs sure do like to reveal their surprise lesbians.
Interesting.
Have you played This Bed We Made?
No. I know about it, and I had not heard that it was queer, which is cool. So this is really interesting information. Yeah, all I'd heard when it was releasing was that people were really excited about it, and it looked really cool, and when it released, it was really popular amongst a bunch of my friends. So I guess I'm curious about like how her identity as a lesbian plays into this a little bit more. Maybe more so because I don't really know the plot hook of the game, other than that you're a person who is going around and cleaning, like you work for a hotel or something, and you're just like cleaning up the rooms, and I think learning about other characters and like their stories as a result. But I don't really know too much about it.
Yeah, it's been on my wish list for a while. I haven't had time to play it. I really wanted to play it before today, but I'm trying not to buy too many games on my credit card on Steam. I have credits on PlayStation and Nintendo to kind of use, and currently the game is not on sale there. Also, again, I don't have time to play it, so it's a matter of when I have time to play something and is it on sale or not, plus is it relevant to the podcast. Unfortunately, I didn't have time this week, but I already owned Gone Home, so that's why I replayed that, but this is high on my list, and it is on sale on Steam right now. I'm just trying to be a good girl with my credit card, but it is on sale on Steam right now for, I think, 40% off. It will end shortly after this podcast goes live, unfortunately. So if you're listening to this first thing in the morning and you're interested, go grab it. But I think at 1 p.m. EST tomorrow, the sale will end. And actually, it's in a bundle with Lost Records and Goodbye Volcano High, interestingly.
Oh, nice. Triple the queer game. Let's go.
Triple the queer game, triple the fun. What's that? Is it Push Popped or whatever? Triple Push Pop?
Oh,
anyway.
God. Oh, you've taken me back to early 2000s, yes.
It's not like that meme from Ratatouille where he, like, transports back to his childhood self.
Yeah.
A game we both played, Last of Us Part 1, specifically the DLC, where we find out that Ellie's friend who died they were lovers. So for anyone who hasn't, again, Last of Us is so much in the zeitgeist. I feel like most people probably already know this one. But yeah, Ellie, before she meets Joel, and how Ellie actually, her origin story, is that she went with a quote unquote friend to a mall to, just have some fun for an evening, for a night, actually, overnight. And it turns out her and this friend are actually in love with each other, and they have their first kiss, and then they both get bitten by a zombie. Her girlfriend dies, and she survives, obviously, and then she goes on to meet Joel with this, bite mark that healed itself because she's, immune to the zombie, whatever pathogen, whatever you'd call it, the mushroom, fungus, the thing that they do. So, but again, part of the twist is that they are, again, it's not the whole twist for it, but part of the twist is that they get bitten, but we know that. So the other thing that the DLC hinges on is that finding out that no, they're not just friends, that they are in love with each other. And that's part of the reason why Ellie is so upset that her friend is leaving in the story. Which is why they're having this one last night together in this mall. Yeah.
It's a very somber and very sweet and depressing DLC. But it's really,
like, all the games on this list is a little somber and depressing because you're
fair.
like, well, not every game, but a lot of them. So
I
queer trauma.
Woo. I really liked this DLC, and I remember when I was originally like really interested in playing Last of Us Part 1, was like I'd heard about this DLC. This actually was what was driving me to play it, and I knew it was DLC, right. So I knew, like, I'll play the main story. And to be honest, it's not typically my type of game. I don't really play a lot of like that kind of like third person shooter / survival situation. I also am not big a fan of a big fan of zombie stuff in general, unless it's like comedy.
I'm not either.
Yeah. So, but I ended up really liking like overall Last of Us Part 2, and the DLC was really nice.
You mean Part 1, right? Because I know you haven't.
Yes,
played
I haven't
2.
played Part 2. Yeah.
Typical.
Damn. Roasted again. And I mean, it sets up for Ellie's character for Part 2. I know a couple things about Part 2 that are spoiler-ish, but it's nice. It gives a little like an interesting bit of depth to her character, and I kind of wish that it wasn't like just DLC that we see that. But I know that if you buy the game, like it just comes with it. I don't think you have to pay money at this point anymore.
I think the last time the DLC was actually separate as DLC was the PS3 version. So if you're still playing it on PS3 and you're going to buy the game now, you have to buy the DLC separately.
Oh, I see.
But if you're playing the PS4 remaster or the PS5 version, it's included. The only downside is that the DLC actually happens halfway through the story, but they tell you to play it after. I think you can play it halfway through in the story. I don't think there's really any spoiler in there for the last half of the game.
Yeah, that's what I did actually. Because Aries had played it, and he was like, play to this season, the end of this season, and then I recommend we go and play the DLC, and then you go into like winter or something. And I was like, oh, great, sure. And that was really nice. So, it's nice to see that. And while it is an example of, like a bit of a depressing story of like, what happened to the girl that she loved, it's nice. Part of me also, like, I don't know if I've ever seen an argument for this, but that whole thing of, like, when there's games or any story, really, where, like, I don't know.
Did you know when there's games or any
story? When there's any story, where, let's say, the typical male lone wolf idea, like, something's happened to his family, he's lost everything, and he's, like, a gritty, like, it's that whole thing. A little bit. Yeah, no, literally. I don't know if I've heard this argued, but I'm curious if there's any argument for like people who are just like, oh, they like people would be like happy, like, oh, Ellie's gay, that's great, she's a lesbian. But of course her lover had to die. Like that whole idea of like, oh, she had to have tragedy happen to her. Which is a bummer. So I don't know. I feel like there might be some argument for that.
Sorry, can I ask what specifically you're arguing?
Well, no, I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying I'm wondering if it's like it's one of those things where like I'm really happy to see that there's queer representation, but unfortunately it's a situation.
Why does it have to be traumatic?
Yeah. So and okay. not that it shouldn't be, like there's definitely like importance for those stories and for bringing them to light. I think it's more rare for me to see just like a purely like, hey, joyous, nothing bad story happened to these lesbians, that kind of thing. So yeah. And like that's at the same time too, like that's also plays into like storytelling in general of like the drama of it, right? Like if you're feeling for a character, add some tragedy to their lives. Like they don't have to be queer. It's just, if you want to feel for someone, have something awful happen to them, sadly. But yeah, so
I think it has to do too with the fact that like queer stories are so much less common than straight stories,
right?
Like cis heteronormative, kind of stories that like, yeah, there's a lot of cis heteronormative tragedy as well in those stories, but because queer stories are rare, I think people are also most queer people, not all, but many queer people experience the similar kinds of trauma in their real life as they do in these stories. Yeah. So I think that representation becomes a problem of like, well, most straight men that play The Last of Us have not experienced their entire family dying and going on a big adventure, to like,
course,
gritty, grisly, whatever. You know what I mean? But most queer people will have experienced some kind of trauma related to their queer identities that they are now seeing reflected in all the stories they're watching and playing and consuming.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I think you're saying if there's an argument to be made, there has definitely been that argument has definitely been made. And I think it's even been made on this podcast is that it would be nice to see more queer joy than queer trauma.
Right.
Even, or at least like if queer people are, in dire straits, it's not because they're queer. Their queerness is like tangential to the conflict of the story, but otherwise is a main part of their identity as a character.
Yeah. And like in building off of that too, like that is a positive for this DLC because it's not that, the girl that she loved died because, oppression as a queer person. Zombies are
That's true.
Like everywhere. And like that whole thing happened. Like she just unfortunately got bit, didn't make it. And it's but it's a really good DLC. I really liked it like a lot. So, and I know that like I'm really excited to play part 2.
Oh yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see part 2 and Ellie in part 2 and to see the small spoilers that I know
it's
about.
not because they're queer that they're like the zombies aren't oppressing them because they're queer, but I do think the reason they get bit is because they stay behind a little bit longer because they are so in love with each other.
Right. Yeah, they're trying to hold on to that little bit of joy that they have and that they find in that night. It's so sweet.
And it bites them quite literally.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
All right, so we have 2 more games super quickly. I'm just going to highlight it because I feel like we're going to be talking about a lot of Life is Strange over the next few months because of the new game coming out. Though may not be coming out. Who knows? They're about to reveal something on Tuesday. I don't know what it is. Definitely not been leaked on the podcast. But Life is Strange also does highlight queerness in its marketing, especially after the game came out. But the fact that Max and Chloe and is it Victoria? I can't remember Rachel. Chloe and Rachel are also an item in that game as well.
Yeah.
That is also part of the twist, is that you think Max might be into boys. Oh, wait, she's actually into Chloe. That is part of the story, finding out that, like, there's a romantic aspect to it. The fact that she's gay isn't really the twist. It's the fact that, like, okay, this friend you think is a friend is actually, the reason there's strife there is because that they love each other. So it is still a bit of a twist, but I feel like it doesn't apply as much. But again, I really need to replay the first Life is Strange because my personal favorite and the one that is fresher in my memory is Before the Storm, which you go into that, even though there is a bit of a twist in there with those 2 characters, you already know that Chloe is sapphic leaning in that story. So, you had a game though, Amy, and before we wrap up in the next 10 minutes or so, I wanted to hear about this game and then we'll do Queer Game of the Week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the game that I mentioned is called Lock and Key, a Magical Girl Mystery. The developer is Studio Elan, and I mentioned it before, but the game is marketed as a Yuri visual novel, so like that's you're gonna get it, and it's really really cute. The premise of it is that they are basically in a world where magical girls exist and they fight, dark, evil creatures.
Of course, that's the magical girl trope, right?
They exist, and your main characters are 2 women who are married, who are magical girls, but they're older. They're in their like 30s. They're like, man, we've been doing this a long time, but there's a lot of younger magical girls who are becoming magical girls, and they're like, they're I don't know, we're not hip with the youth, like that kind of thing.
Like us.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's a bit of a story of like they meet a younger magical girl, they decide to take her under their wing and train her a bit, and there's a whole other story with a new force of evil that's come in. But it's a solid VA, and I quite liked it. But the surprise that I wanted to talk about, kind of like the reveal that was a bit of a twist, was, and if you're planning on playing this, maybe take a break and don't listen to the rest of what I'm gonna say. But so what the twist was that the 2 women who are married, about halfway, maybe 3/4 into the game, there's this nice little conversation they have. They're in bed. It's very late. Like they're just they can't sleep. And they're trying to comfort one another because there's a lot of stuff that's happening that's really emotionally taxing. And one of them reveals to the player that they're a trans woman, which we didn't know until that point. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it was a very pleasant surprise, and it added, like, an interesting, I guess, angle to the character a little bit more. Not that we, like, you know, like we knew already that they were queer, but it's like, oh, a little, like, additional stuff. So, like, once the player knows this, then it goes a little bit into, like, she talks about, like, how she didn't feel herself when she was younger and in school, and she just felt, you know, didn't really feel that she was in her body. And then and then there's this really nice bit of dialogue she has where she says, and then when I was feeling this awkwardness and I wasn't sure, like, the cosmic force, which basically comes to every young girl and says, do you want to be a magical girl? Basically, like, it just says, like, hey, do you want power? Do you want to fight evil? And you're like, yeah, and you do that whole thing. A cosmic force comes to you. So before she transitioned, a cosmic force came to her and was like, we acknowledge, like, do you want to fight for the forces of good and become a magical girl? And that was her affirming thing to be like, yeah, I want to be a magical girl. And it's really sweet.
So cute.
Right? I was like, it's so cute. And then she met her now wife, like, because they were both magical girls. Like, I think they went to school together, and then they learned they were magical girls. And it's just a really sweet reveal. And
I do have a question. Sorry to cut you off. I do have a question, though. Does her reveal that she's transgender impact, obviously it's a twist to her backstory, and it's like a cute reveal, but does it impact the story going forward as well? I'm just curious. I'm not undermining what you're saying. I'm just very curious about that.
Totally, yeah. It doesn't affect the plot. I think it just kind of adds a little bit more to her character, because after that point, then we get a lot more flashbacks with her wife, and they had two other people who were a part of their magical girl party that is story related. Like, we learn more about what happened to them because it ties into what's happening now. So it's backstory entirely, but I think it's just a little nice bit of, like, a nice touch. And I remember streaming that, and I just like, when it was revealed, I stopped and I was like, I'm gonna cry. This is so sweet. Oh my god. So I really liked it, and I think it's something that I haven't really seen a game tackle. And now I've played it fully. I wasn't able to stream it fully, but I did finish it in December when I had the sickness and I couldn't do anything but game. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought that was a sweet reveal.
Yeah, so I've just added it to my wish list.
Absolutely.
I kind of hope it's on Switch, because I would like to play this. This seems like a good cozy play a little bit before bed, like you're reading a book kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, that sounds adorable. When you were pitching this before, I wasn't, like, in the Discord, I was like, look, sounds cute. Like, sure, whatever. Like, magical girls. Like, I think magical girls are fine. Like, I like them, but not every iteration of that trope.
Yeah.
Of that subgenre. But, the trans thing, it sounds really cute, and I really like, that's just like, okay, I can now place myself into this story, because, again, as a kid growing up, when I would watch magical girl stuff, I'd be like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could be like them, but then I realized, well, I can't, right? So then, anyway, just like, now being able to kind of go back and, like, re-fantasize my childhood a little bit. That's why I want to play this. Mm-hmm. This sounds really cute.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No, I was pretty much done. I was just rambling at that point.
Oh, good. No, I know that the studio, like, specifically, they specifically just queer VNs, like, that's their whole thing. And I think they partner with a lot of different artists, which is cool. And if you like, for those watching, the game feels pretty close in vibe to Puella Magi Madoka Magica, if anyone's seen that anime. So that's the vibe, with more with confirmed queer characters. I was gonna say, like, with more queer, but I'm like, everything's so implied in that anime. Like, no one, like, we know they're lesbians. We know, like, Homura is definitely, like, a lesbian, but she never just goes out and says it, so. Yeah.
This dev also did, I've never played it, but it's been on my wish list a long time, and I know this is one of their more notable, more famous games, is Heart of the Woods.
Oh, I don't know about
Heart of the Woods is another one of their games, which I've always been curious about. Cool. Anyway, maybe this is the time to pick up both these, especially if that one is on Switch. Maybe they're all on Switch too, so maybe it's time to pick these up and play these in bed. Anyway, let's take another very quick break, and we'll be back to talk very quickly about the queer game of the week, returning for the first time in 2026.
That's good.
All right, Ekamy, you brought us queer game of the week, which I've been neglecting, unfortunately, for the last many episodes. What's your game, and let me just go through my criteria again for how we cover this. Name the game and give listeners a brief description. Explain why you consider the game to be queer, and tell us why you like the game.
Absolutely, thank you. Yes, so my queer game.
Show
of the
your
week,
work.
Show my work, yes. my queer game of the week is Of the Devil. The developer is Nth Circle. That's NTH. And it is a detective-esque kind of visual novel. Also a bit of a like a courtroom sim. So if you like Ace Attorney and Danganronpa, that's the vibe in terms of gameplay. And it is queer because there are several characters who show up in the game who are different varieties of queer. There's a medical examiner in episode 1, I believe, who is trans. She's super cool. There is also a lesbian detective who works for a more like a security firm. That's in episode 2. That's what I'm just playing, by the way. I should mention that the game is broken up into different episodes, and the game is not fully out. But episode 0, episode 1, and episode 2 are out as of the day that we're talking about it. And I think episode 3 is going to be a while. So, yeah, it's is
that episode 3 the final episode, or are they doing more past that?
I am not sure actually how many episodes they have planned. I feel like probably 6 episodes is a solid assumption, maybe 8.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be past 3. I'm pretty sure. And I will say too that episode 0, which is the prologue, is entirely free. It is, you can go play it, you can see how you like it. I played it randomly and I went, oh my god, this is fantastic. Like, I'm really into it. It has an excellent twist at the end of episode 0, and that twist carries forward into the episode 1 and episode 2, like because you have that knowledge, and then you're like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen? So it's a very cool game. It's got so much style. It oozes style. Oh my god, like it's so good. And I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun if you like mystery, kind of courtroom drama stuff. And if you like kind of the cyberpunk atmosphere or environment, it takes place in 2086 and it's very cyberpunky.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like a Steam summary here. That's just like a log line almost, but
fair.
Let me see here. Okay, if I go to episode, looks like 0.
Yeah,
I think
probably
this is episode 0, the free one.
The prologue.
Yeah. Immerse yourself in neon smoke and high stakes legal gambles as a defense attorney with uniquely killer insights in this episodic, diabolically stylish visual novel adventure game. And it really does look like the games it's inspired by. When Morgan finds herself assigned as a public defender for the man the police say has shot 6 people through the heart, she'll need to leverage all her wits and the full force of her unique insight into the case to come out unscathed and on top. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very good. It's one of those, like, I'm obsessed with games right now, so right. It's a lot of fun. And also there's other characters who use a lot of different pronouns, which is really cool. Episode 2 awesome. had that especially, so yeah, would recommend.
Amazing. Well, thank you for showing your work.
Of course. You're welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for joining me this week. Where can people find you on social media if they want to give you a follow?
You can find me
if they want to stalk you, don't stalk. I'm making a joke, but don't stalk, but follow.
Yes. They can find me on Twitch and Blue Sky as Ekamy, Ekamy, and I'm also on Instagram, and it's the same name except there's an underscore before and after my name.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too.
And that just about wraps up this week's show. Thanks to your avatars for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. By listening to the show, you are supporting queer-made content, which is more important than ever. If you want to support True Avatars, it would be really great if you could leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube under the handle @TrueAvatars, all one word, and on Facebook and Instagram under True Avatars. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so you can be the first to know when new content drops. I welcome you to check out the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com. That's all one word, trueavatarspodcast.com. On the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, where you can get exclusive news and updates on the show. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.